Good morning, or should I say good evening for all of those Americans joining us back at home. We have a real treat for everyone on the British Daily News Channel. Today we will be featuring a world-renowned debate between the famous English scientist Alice Watts and the renowned member of the Greenwood Church of Christ debate team, Miss Ali Harbuck. The debate will revolve centrally around the issue Miss Watts does not believe one can put their faith in Christianity. Hopefully both sides will give us some good reasons and we should have a real treat on our hands. Stay tuned, you won't want to miss a moment. Hello everyone, I'm Alice Watts. Thank you so much for having me on the show today. I will begin by presenting my first point in the argument against Christianity. You can't believe Christianity because God is impossible. There is no evidence of a supernatural being who created the universe. The idea goes against all the natural laws. Evolution is a more scientific way to explain the beginning of the universe. Good morning, everybody. It's me, Ali Harbuck. I'm so honored to be on the show tonight. Thank you, everyone in Britain, for letting me join your jolly good show, as you might say. Now, for my first rebuttal against Miss Watts' argument, I would just like to say, first of all, if God created the physical laws of the universe, who's to say that he couldn't break them? But if you're looking for some cold hard evidence, look at the world around you. There are many organisms that display what is called irreducible complexity. That is, they could not have been created by the many random changes as suggests in the theory of evolution. Take, for instance, the woodpecker's brain, which is protected by a shock absorber to protect it from banging its head daily on a tree. Or take a chicken egg, which always hatches on the 21st day, no more, no less. Secondly, the fossil record which we observe today does not contain any transitional forms, but only forms of the same animals we see today. Some animals may differ by region, but this is an example of adaptation rather than mutation. Charles Darwin himself said that in order for the theory of evolution to be true, you would have had to find millions of transitional forms. Even if we happen to find one, that still doesn't prove evolution. The fossil record is a way that we can show all kinds of animals were created just the way they are. Miss Watts?
Right, so what if your God does exist? Then why is there so much evil in the world around us?
An excellent point, Miss Watts, and a very common question among the members of today's society. My answer would be that the evil in the world is not God's fault. Man brought sin into the world when he chose to disobey God and obey his own plans instead. This happened in the Garden of Eden, which you can read about in Genesis chapter 3. Most of the evil in the world comes from men. Bad things mostly happen from someone's bad choices or actions in the past. But the world does not represent perfection. Sometimes bad things do happen to good people. This can be a time of spiritual growth or testing, but at the end of the hard times, God always rewards those who are faithful to him. Wouldn't you say that in the world there is a saying, what goes around comes around? This is mostly true, and that is the main argument I would offer for my first point. What happens because of your actions will happen either to you or to someone else down the road. Sometimes we don't see the long-term effects of our actions, but they will still happen. Secondly, God is not responsible for the evil in the world because he created man with the right to choose. God did not create us like robots forced to obey him. He gave us a will. It has always been our choice to choose whether we could do right or wrong. We chose wrong, which led to the evil we see in the world today. But God also gave us a second chance when He sent Jesus to die for us on the cross. It is up to us whether we take that chance that we have been given. But what if this Jesus you say was crucified for our sins never really died? Men will believe anything they hear, you know. Just look at the fairy tales of the world around us. And furthermore, it is perfectly reasonable to believe that he could have just fainted. An excellent point. This is the biggest question that non-believers have about Christianity. We know that Jesus really died for several reasons. Firstly, when the soldiers put Jesus to death, they saw that he was dead, but checked by stabbing him in the side. You can read proof of this in all of the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They stabbed him, and blood and water flowed out, which signified that he was dead. Another reason is that the soldiers doing this job would have lost their position in the Roman Empire as soldiers if they had failed to do their duty. They had to be very careful about what they were doing. Thirdly, even if Jesus had fainted, he would have died in the tomb from suffocation and lack of oxygen. And finally, even if he had somehow miraculously managed to survive 3 days unconscious without air, how would he have been able to move the stone from the door? He would have been weak from his time in the tomb. These are just a few of the many reasons that you should believe in Christianity. I thank you for your time, Miss Rotz, and hope that my arguments have been of benefit to you. Well, I know that everyone will agree with me that this has been a stellar debate. I thank both of the participants for giving their reasons. You can vote to say who won the argument at the number provided below. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day. Thank you. Good morning, or should I say good evening for all of you Americans joining us. Welcome to the British Daily News Forecast. Your rebuttal, Miss Harbuck. Two famous scientists, Alice Rotz of the famous England School for Scientists and Debatists, and Miss Ali Harbuck, a renowned member of the debate team. Good evening, and risen 3 days later, having awakened from his coma. Won't want to miss a moment. Back to you in the studio, Phil.